And then I started to experience tics. So, you know, like tics. And it took another like 3 years until I actually went to a doctor, like a neurologist, like you know, just a doctor that messed with the neurologic system. And then he was like, yeah, I mean, it's obvious, you know, he just have Tourette's. It was already kind of like old and I've changed, but I was like, it's all good. It's good exposure and like, it wasn't bad. It was all like good meaning and stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm good with that. So they would release that. And that would blow up so big in Israel that I had to like come back.
And
literally.
you also mentioned in interview that you lost 135 pounds.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's like
what was the turning point that you
like
decided?
55 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
what
you can
made...
actually show them the stretch marks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Lauren Engel of Sidewalk Talk. Today I'm here with WHALES.
Hey.
So you were initially born in, how do you say it? Ashdod?
Ashdod, yeah.
Ashdod.
I mean, technically I was born in Rehovot, which is like the hospital is there, but I mean, I was born and raised in Ashdod.
Yeah.
Which was pretty kind of...
How do you describe it? How do you describe it?
Extreme, I believe, because it's not a bad place, but it's not nice to be 8 years old and then like, you know, one day wake up and there is sirens and, you know, bombs and rockets are falling in your house, but it's all good. I mean, I've experienced that. I mean, the whole kind of things in Israel was the like toughest thing for me, because I would just be a normal kid and then the war started, and when I was like 8, I believe, after it ended, it was like a 3 months run of like rockets and shit. So my dad and mom, they sent me and my sister to Germany, to my family, so we don't have to like experience this thing at such a young age. And it was kind of, I guess it was too late, because when I came back I just started to experience some really high amount of stress and like anxiety at a really young age. And I was sure that, you know, life is just like that, because when you experience something that hard and you're that young, you just feel it like, alright, so life is about war, life is about like bad people that's trying to kill you, and like, you know, my army killed them, they tried to kill me. And I today know that it's not actually that bad, because we have this like battery and all those things, and I mean, rockets barely fall when they throw them, because we like developed like some techniques to, you know, fix that. But in the past, every rocket they would send will just fall, and like, you know, one time I live like in a building in the middle of the city, and like even the like my street name is City. Yeah. Yeah. It's really ironic. So it fell like in the building, I think behind my building, and I hear the loudest thing I've ever like.
Oh my gosh.
It was so bad. And I was like under the table, because we would just like, you know, we would have fun. My mom would like set all those blankets, and we would like just lie on the floor with my sister and play and do kid stuff. I would just try to like come back to my room as soon as possible so I can, you know, be on my PC. But once I was like ready to go out, and then I felt a really bad noise, and the ground shook.
Oh,
and I live in a really like big building, so it was like holy, you know, I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So after this whole thing ended, I just started to experience anxiety and fear, just general fear of life. And then I started to experience tics. So, you know, like tics. And it took another like 3 years until I actually went to a doctor, like a neurologist, like you know, just a doctor that messed with the neurologic system. And then he was like, yeah, I mean, it's obvious, you know, he just have Tourette's.
What age did you start getting Tourette's?
Tourette's? I mean, I believe that like after the war, like after 2008, when we had like the sirens, I started to like have a little tics. And really anxious about stuff, and I would like cry all the time and it would be really bad, but nobody will understand what's wrong. And then I would get really bullied, and like, you know, I would get really outside everything and I would be really different. So my mom tried to see what's going on with me in general, like why I'm acting like that, because I was a kid and like I would just stay and do like computer stuff all day and not, I would go outside but I didn't have any friends, so I would just go play with myself, like a basketball or football, just take a ball and like play with myself and then come back, so my mom thinks that I have a like social life kind of.
You were playing basketball with some older people, right? Like 30-year-olds. Yeah.
So it's really about like I would go by myself and sometimes I would see like really like old homeless people, like the creepy ones, and I will just be like, alright, I mean I don't have anyone else, so we'll just play. Luckily nobody ever like damaged me or like did anything bad to me, but I do remember myself like a few times running out of like, because they would try to get really close and like, you know, oh yeah, let's do that, let's buy a slushie, let's like do those things, and I was like, no, I just wanna play and go home. And there were a few times, yeah, I remember that, those, yeah. So I was doing that, and my mom took me to this like new job, like, you know, there. So I would go to this guy and he would like be like, I would swear always, all the time, just be like, you know, all the swears, and nobody will understand why I swear so much. I mean, like, I was playing video games and doing computer stuff, but it wasn't like healthy. I will just like get attached to like bad words. I would like say them and feel good about it. So my mom went to check it, and then he started to ask me questions, and I would answer like yes, 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 and yes, because there was some stuff that you can realize that you have something like, for example, with the OCD, I've used to like, I still do, before I go sleep, I have like a kind of thing that I have to like put this in this place, this in this place, and like this there and this there, and only if I do that I can like fall asleep. So, you know, I started to have that and then develop like more of those things. It means like I've started to waste a lot of time every day just trying to like relax my OCD, so it started to get really bad. And we went, he was like, yeah, you have Tourette's and like OCD and like tics. And I was like, alright, I don't give a shit, I just want to go back and play some, you know, video games, listen to some music and stuff like that. Because I've already like made music by they diagnosed me. So it was my everything. It was my game, kind of. I would just like escape everything and just go and make music. Going
back a bit, like what's your parents' job?
Alright, so my mom is doing like office job. I mean, she's a really strong and great woman, but she's always been more about like, she always tried to bring us the best life. I mean, my parents are divorced, and I'm in a really good relationship with my mom and dad, and like we all great. But my mom never like could manage to do a really her own thing. So she just like does an office job, and she's a really lovely person. So whatever my mom is, she's always loved and accepted because she always tried to bring good to people, and I appreciate that. Like I really adore it. That my mom always like, wherever she is, she always try to put the best out of it.
Yeah.
And my dad, he all like a computer business. So for me, that's why I've used to like mess with computers and electronic devices since a really young age. Because I would see my dad work on his computer all day, like, you know, all night, because he wasn't in a job at the daytime. And then be like, damn, I want to be like that. I want to touch all those electronic devices. And really, I've used to take a lot of like calculators that doesn't work, just like, you know, broken stuff, and just like pretend like I'm hacking some stuff. I just was weird as fuck. I would believe that I had like inside my head this, like, I never told this to anyone, but it's a great like place. So I believe that I have a TV show, my life is a big TV show, and I'm the main character, and like everything that happens to me in my life is like I control it with some weird like remote that doesn't work, and like it was really weird. But I don't know, I just was a really weird kid, I guess. I was really off the chain. I've never been normal, and I had like a really serious learning problems. I could not talk, so they took me to this like, I don't know how you call it in English, but she tells you like do this, like, and do this and do that, so you can talk more clearly. That's why today, even in my English, it's really hard for me to like spell the R and those things. And it's not even an accent thing, it's just like, I'm like that in all languages. I can speak like Russian, Hebrew, English, some German, some French, because I had so many like shows in like, I had Geneva in Switzerland, I had like few shows in France, few shows in Montreal, so I've learned to like talk some really nice words while this time.
What kind of music were your parents playing in the house when you were growing up? And where do you think you got your creative side?
Alright, so it's really like clear to me because my dad used to listen to like rock and metal, like Rammstein and you know, some stuff like this.
Is that popular in Israel? Or is he just listening
It's
kind
just
of
my dad, yeah, it's not too popular. Like usually in Israel it's like, so whatever was popular in the US, after like a decent 6 months it's become popular in Israel. Yeah. So they like listen to the same things as here, just in a delay, a really massive delay. And there is of course obviously the like Middle Eastern music, which is we call it Mizrahit. Yeah, so some people listen to that, but we never like connected as a family to that kind of music. So my mom would listen to pop music, like you know all the MTV stuff and all the hits, and my dad would listen to like hip hop, like Eminem. I remember him listening a lot to like Eminem, and rock, which is really everything from Led Zeppelin to Radiohead to like heavier stuff like Rammstein and you know even like some Russian and German rock, like metal. So it's really heavy.
Who did you start listening to when you first found EDM?
EDM?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to listen, before I used to listen to EDM, I used to listen to just like really punkish emo stuff, Linkin Park, Blink 182, from like Panic at the Disco, all those things. I would be like the old like, you know, casual emo. I also had this thing, and I would wear beanies and fans when I was like 7. Yeah. So I will do that, but when it comes to EDM, I think I would get into EDM really early by Prodigy, because my dad would listen to Prodigy, and I would love all those like electronic sounds. And my dad used to listen to like another French guy, like Jean something, which I can't remember his name, but I always had that kind of sound around me. So it started with the Prodigy, and then all this like really early Dirty Dutch music in like 2009, when like I think Rehab and like really like old DJs, they would like put DJ before the name and upload it to YouTube in really bad quality. We'll just like make remixes and put those like really high Dirty Dutch noises in songs and call it a remix. So we started there, and then like you know it all developed until I think 2009, like 2010, when I found about dubstep, because there was a guy in my country, I forgot his name, but he used to like do some dubstep, and I would find those like Casper, all the like SpongeBob tune, that like the really old one, I forgot where it comes from, but like really old shit, until I discovered drum and bass. And when I discovered drum and bass, it was like, alright, so I have drum and bass, I have like early dubstep, not early, but you know, early kind of UKF dubstep, early kind of glitch hop and those things, and also like the really heavy electro house. So I would listen to that, and I would like every week go and just check those channels, because they will have like a weekly uploads. So I will just try to do all I can to find more and more music, and I will dig every hole in YouTube just to find anything, like anything that's electronic. I would not mind how it sounds, but I just want to hear more and more and more of that. And that's how like I could educate myself to learn more about more genres. And that's why I believe I make so many different types of music right now, because I'm really bad with genres. I make whatever I want.
And what was the EDM scene in Israel back then? Like,
back then?
Yeah.
So
Are you like one of the few EDM producers there?
I mean, right now there is a lot of producers, like a lot. I had a masterclass, like I think 2 weeks ago, and it's a place of like 80 people capability and like 500 kids registered for that, and it's a lot because Israel is small. So we had that, and I believe that the scene in Israel right now is bigger than it's always been, because you know, like people are just like developing this thing everywhere, so it affects Israel. But back in time, it used to be like I was too young to understand it, but they had like all those like, so I think in 2012 Borgore will release the Decision track, Miley Cyrus, right? And then because he's Israeli and it was a really good track, and it reached a really big amount of like people around the world, so people would like start seeing Borgore as, alright, I mean there is this thing, and he brought dubstep to the table in Israel. Then they started to have those like monthly parties or like weekly parties. I don't know too much about that because I was like 12, 11, but they would bring Schism, they would bring Flux Pavilion and like really big like Dr. P, really big acts to play in Israel, and they will like sell out events like it's pop music.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I think in 2013, like, yeah, around like 2012, because my first show was in like the end of 2012, when I was 12. Yeah. So when I started to have shows, it's when the scene started to kind of like go down and down.
Oh.
And I started like, so I believe that like the big parties stopped at 2012, and then when I had my like, when I started to have shows, it will be just like kids that left from those parties, and then those kids will just grow up, and in like 2 years it just stopped. In 2014, those like parties just stopped, like nothing. Yeah. So we had like, I think 2 years without any events. I mean, I would play some stuff, but that's because I've been doing like really big stuff in like, you know, in outside Israel. So I will like manage to get like some offers, but it's just like 100 kids. But the thing about Israel is like people will listen to the music, there will just not be people that make the parties and the events. So then in 2016, a company called Basecamp, they pumped and started to like make those really small parties and like underground in those basements, and slowly they grew, and I started like taking a part and playing with them. And now they do really big stuff. Like they booked Virtual Riot, Barely Alive, Oliver's, like even like Jow's Nightmare. Oh, wow. So yeah, so right now it's like at its peak when it comes to bass music. But EDM in general, they really like in Israel the big acts like Marshmello, the Chainsmokers. I haven't played before them in Israel for like 15,000 people. Yeah. Yeah, it was really dope. They're really nice people. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Actually, going back a bit, like you quit out of school, right? Like you got your.
I mean, so I didn't really quit out of school. We all just like realized that I could not just keep doing what I did, which was I had so many tics. I could not shower alone. I was struggling with eating alone. I have this image of in my head of like me eating like, you know, just like the cereal, and I would just like do this and everything will just fall down, and I need to clean this shit, and I can't because I can't see anything, because my ass will be like this all the time. So I had to like do this thing to open them, and my ass will always be red. And people was making fun of me when they will see me. Oh, you smoke weed, you do drugs. No, I just can't see. I just can't see. So I remember that, and we kind of like, it was a really difficult time. And back in time, it was 2015. My mom took like, you know, some days off work just to take me for like, just make me some really fun days, because I would be in such a terrible place, like a really bad place. And she took me to a movie, to the pool, tried to like make me a really fun few days. And then I realized that's one of my like favorite artists back in time. I still love him, but you know, back in time he was my hero. He came to Israel. So it's Savant. You hear about him? Yeah. Yo, so Savant came to Israel to play with Infected Mushroom, because they were working together. And I would see that. And Savant used to be really my hero because he has the Savant syndrome. So for me it was like he struggled and still managed to make it so big. And I struggle and I'm about to die. So I really appreciated what he did with his life. Not just music, but his life in general, because it will be for me just inspiration of like, well, you can actually manage to deal with problems and still make big things happening. So I was in a really bad place. And for me it was like a place of like, I'm just gonna like do whatever I want or I'm gonna die, because if I will not leave right now, I will never leave. So I just try to get any way to talk with, like, you know, get to Savant in some way. And my mom would call the Israeli people and be like, oh, like, we need help, my son needs to see him, but they would be like, I'm sorry, like, we are sorry, like, we can't help it. So I would try to use all the connections they had, and like, I had a track with like 1 million views, and I had some like really, I had a small name back in time. So I would try to talk with my friend Sultan, he's from Iran, and I remember that the Savant manager used to manage him too, so I would be just like, is there any way you can help me talk with Savan, talk with his manager? And he was like, yeah, just talk with this guy Josh, which is my manager right now.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So I was sending him like, I think it was like around 9,000 messages on Facebook because it was like 2 months ahead. Yeah. And I would just like send messages 4 times, 5 times a day just to like get a response. And even if it was a no, for me there wasn't a no answer for this situation. I would just do anything I can to make it happen. So I would go to the show and I managed to kind of like meet him. I was going to like all down, and I had a friend which was the videographer of the place, so he took me to the backstage area, and then one of the like artists went in and is there anything called Josh and like Alex? And he brought them out and we hung for like a minute. I was crying and being excited. And I came back home after the show. I didn't even stay for the show because I was really bad, so I needed to head home. My mom came with me. So I came home, I took a shower by myself after like a few months of really struggling, and I went to sleep. And before I fall asleep, I was like, I feel so good, and like I haven't felt that good for like such a long time. And for me it was like, well, maybe I can be someone's hero someday. So I just decided that I'm gonna push the music thing, like not into a career, but just like keep making music, because I never had this goal of like I want to be rich, I want to like be in LA and play shows. I never even thought about that. So I just kept doing that thing. 4 months later I just like played in Paris when I was 15.
How did you get to BPM?
So I didn't get to BPM, I just left school and I was sitting in this place and they asked me, so I didn't leave school, I just like they free me because of my health statement. So they asked, what you gonna do now? And I was like, I'm going to this college, and I stated I'm going, but I never like checked anything, I just tried to pull off something. So then my mom was like, wait, you're going to a college? And I was like, yeah. And I actually talked with one of my friends and was like, yo, did you learn this college? And he was like, yeah. And I managed to get a meeting with them. And they were like, well, you're really young and you know we're not doing this, but we get your like place right now and let's do this. So I actually started to learn there, and it was really great for me to understand that the transition from bowling kid to like, you know, like older musicians, and it will be just like in social way, it will build me and show me how to communicate with people and how to like, not everyone is bad as kids, because kids are evil, and I was really bad with this.
And then how did you get your music out there initially?
Like internationally?
Yeah, like for example your SpongeBob remix. Yeah. Like how did you like research all the YouTube channels, or how did you
I mean, I will just like message those, like everyone asks me, how did you like meet with all those, like with him, how do you get your songs out here and here? And we just will go together, because all those like big channels like Trap Nation, NCS, when we first like started to work, they were really small, and we've been friends and we've never actually released any music together. And then, you know, by the time comes, we had like few releases and really like pumped the streaming wise of my career. So it's really about that. But how the international support came, well, it's never been local. I just never had a place when I just released music and people from my country fuck with me, because nobody in my country cared about me. So it was obvious that for me it's like I'm doing that thing internationally. So it's always been targeted to this place, like not LA, but you know, outside Israel. And obviously that like by the time passed, I've started to gain a lot of like Israel fan base and following, but it's just like later on, after I already like played shows and got my name out there.
And you also had a video that went viral on Facebook, right? I watched it. Oh no, like the one of the interview.
So it was like a TV thing. So this guy reached to me and was like, yo, I'm from this big channel and I want to do it, like, you know, the commentary about you. And I was like, yeah, you're from this channel, because it was a really big deal back in time. It was like the second biggest channel in Israel, so everyone would watch it. It was like the prime time news, so it was a really massive thing. And he was like kind of like young and cool, and he just really liked the music, and he was like, yeah, let's do this. And I was like, seriously, we're gonna do this? And then it became serious, and we just shoot it for 2 months, like here and there, and do that. and then I had to like go to a tour in Canada and Europe, and then I came back and we finished it, and they will just like keep it and not do anything with that. And one day there was a really bad thing about Tourette syndrome, so a really like big celebrity in Israel made fun of that
I saw
on
that,
TV,
yeah.
and like they were like, oh my god, like, and at the same day they were like, all right, so we have the interview, we have the documentary out tomorrow, and I'm like, what the, you know, like, tomorrow? It was already like kind of like old, and I've changed, but I was like, it's all good, it's good exposure, and like it wasn't bad, it was all like good meaning and stuff. So I was like, alright, I'm good with that. So they would release that, and that would blow up so big in Israel that I had to like come back. You know, they came to my place just like shoot a bit part 2 for that, because it's just like everyone would watch it and be motivated and like, you know, be like, oh, this is like the next thing, and we are so proud of him. And it's really nice becoming from someone that like people in my country knew about me, because I've had some like small press and like side interview, but the massive transition between that and like I remember like day after that. So after that day I had like 2 weeks of interviews every day, like radio, paper news, like everything, and my schedule would be like that. And I went down for the first time like after the TV thing, and I would see all the cars just stop and doing like this for me. I will be like, what the fuck? Is this for me? And people just like, you know, put their head like up and like, oh, I got, like someone actually went out of the car and was like, I gotta shake your hand. And they will just like do like, you know, like whisper for me. And I'll be like, I don't deserve that, you know, just make music. But they really got emotional of my story, kind of, you know, getting my life together and succeeding at something like that after having such a struggle. And it was such a struggle, so.
And you also mentioned in the interview that you lost 135 pounds.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's like
what was the turning point
155 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
what
you can actually show them the stretch marks.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm a tiger whale.
Well, what made you decide that you,
so the thing is like,
change?
Well, I've changed everything in my life kind of, because I realized that I need to become independent and really start taking care of myself after like around the time I left school. And I will just try, like in the past I will just try to lose weight in any way, like any way that's possible, but it never worked. And then like everyone will just bother me, like, you know, all the close people, like, you gotta lose weight. And like I did had to, like it was really bad, and they will just be like, you gotta lose weight. And some people like treat me like I'm not the person, I'm just like, wait, I'm a monster. I really felt like it. People will not take me seriously just because I would be really big, and like, you know, I don't know what people thought about me, but it was like that. So when I had this like tour in Europe and Canada in 2016 at the end of the year, everyone just will be really supportive about it, because, you know, yeah, he's fat, but he's also doing this thing now. So people will like appreciate me and support me, and I felt like for the first time, you know, someone accept me and appreciate what I do. So I just went on tour. I came back 1 month in health after that, and suddenly I just lost a lot of weight.
Oh, what tips do you have, or how did you do that?
Well, for the weight in general, just like, I believe that the biggest change for me was mentally, but I did stop with anything that's not water, so I only drink water. Only drink water.
Oh my gosh.
And the second thing for me is I started to cook for myself. That means I never like, I mean, I do it outside whenever I want, but I started to like really cook myself, so I know what's the ingredients and I know what I put into my food, and I stopped with processed food. So I can like eat anything, but I have to make it, even if it's like a pizza or stuff. So it actually really benefited me, because now I cook really good. I went and bought like, you know, like all the equipment, so now I'm like pro. No, seriously.
I know, it's awesome. Yeah. And then how about exercise?
What?
Exercise. No?
I didn't do any.
Wow,
I mean,
155 pounds just from diet change, that's cool.
Yeah, and like everyone will like, oh, what's this surgery and stuff, and I never did that. So like even today, my stomach is kind of like, so I never get full. I can just eat and eat and eat and eat. I never get full, and I just realized what's the best for me to like stop. So it's a healthy amount of food, right? And it's okay, because I'm never hungry, but I'm never full. So I don't mind. Food for me became, I mean, it's good, but it became a survival thing instead of emotional support, kind of. I was used to it. and I will not understand it. Like, I will talk with people that does like drugs and drink alcohol and be like, you know, you just do that because you need like you need something to stand, like something to, you know, to support you. And then I will realize that, you know, I'm doing the same thing with food. And I was like, I can't to tell people to not do drugs and not like drink alcohol and it's bad for them if I kill myself with like, you know, having those food behaviors and like this weight. So it stopped and I just started to like eat to survive kind of. But it's all good. I mean, I still lose weight, always. I never stopped for like 3 years right now. And my body also like shape himself better with the dead skin because I have like a lot of it. And it sucks because I would always think like, oh, if I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna be so pretty and I'm gonna feel so good about myself. And I do feel good about myself, but that's because I realized that, you know, that skin or like some fat should not matter to me about how I feel about myself. Like, you know, it should not bother me. And also like, I believe that I'm really healthy right now. So my sleep is really constant and I breathe really good and my body is just really kick-ass.
Yeah.
So it's about that.
What made you decide to drop sex from Sex Whales, your name?
It sounded really cool when you told it. So basically I did the puberty ring thing. No, I'm kidding. So I actually had an EP called Puberty Ring. And like many people didn't realize what it was on, but it's just like a meme that my manager had with like his friend, and they're like, so let's make this like first EP put on the Whales Puberty Ring. And I was like, alright. And like one of the tracks, like the Puberty Ring track actually managed to get to UKF dubstep. So it was like, alright, nice joke. So why? I just felt for the longest time, and that's like a really good question because I get asked every day, all time. So people think that like around the time I changed to Wales, I also joined like a management and agency, and people think that they forced me to change it because they need to be like friendly and professional, and that's not true. I wanted to change for a while, not just the like, you know, the name, but the way I act, because I'm really honest as a human being, and I felt like really trying to satisfy people with a career and like, you know, all the social media stuff, all the like fake life. I would not connect to it in any way, and I would feel sick. I would feel that like, you know, so there is revenue and I feel good about what I do and like everything is alright, like supposed to be alright, but in some way I would feel so empty, and I would feel that like the passion I had like 5 years ago when I was just playing with music and it will be my therapy, I felt like I'm starting to lose it. So I started to talk with my manager right now, like the Savant manager, and we will just talk about my brand, and he will just ask me, so what's wrong? And I was like, basically, you know, everything is alright, instead of the fact that I feel empty and I don't enjoy this anymore. And he was like, why? And we started to think about all the actions they do and how I treat my career kind of, and we decided that it would be better to just change because I really wanted to. And I was like, yo, so like, let's just keep the whales and do something cool, like a space whales, killer whales, like base whales, I don't know, something that looks good. And he was like, just whales. And I was like, are you crazy? Like people gonna search me and find
I was like,
a
the
damn
SEO
animal,
for that
you know,
is like,
are you crazy? And he was like, well, you know, like they're gonna search whales and see in Wikipedia whales animal, and the second will be whales the musician. And that's a really strong thing because it just motivates people. Will be like, that's the worst thing, and I don't think like that, because for me it's a motivation to become put such a big impact on the scene, on people, that I can actually make it to the whales size on Wikipedia. And I also feel like, you know, people don't really care about the brand, like they care about the branding, but try to think about a solution to kind of like, how can I take this thing and make it work? And basically what I did was making the tag, like the Whales FM. So me and my manager will try to think about everything will be taken, like Whales music, Whales like Whales official, all of those things. So he sent me this site that you can search for stuff, and I was like, alright, so there is the domain FM, which is like frequency modulation, I think. And it's also like a radio thing, but it's also like just a music thing. And the domain whales.fm was free, so I was like, wait, let's just do like, you know, the social media gonna be Whales FM, and then there's gonna be a site which is gonna be whales.fm, which is the site right now is just like we didn't update that for a while, but when things go, you know, higher and stuff like that, it's gonna be really cool because I want to create a community, really like a tight community for all means, and it will be like a nice place. Also, like, I want to have my own label in the future. You know, when I sold myself out, because I constantly help people, and I have always did that. I will have like 5,000 followers, and I will make tracks with all of my friends, so everyone can, like, you know, get some of my following. And the best way to do that is just like walk my craft, became big, and help all those like really talented people that trying to like come out.
Changing topics, but what does love mean to you?
What?
What does love mean to you?
Love means everything. Like, for me, love is what keeps this world kind of running, because there is so much of bad, you know, there is so many bad things in this world, and I would be so like depressed and like really sad all the time, and I would feel like nothing is bad and just being negative in general. And then I realized that the only way to survive, for me at least, is just to be positive, and it means just spread love and like good, just spread good, right, to people. And love for me is like, I love everyone, because even those who hate me, I will not hate them back. I feel like it's not like they, you know, walk and like I law and stuff. I just believe in good, because even if I will not get any of that good back, I still did my best, and like I would not do anyone what I'm not wishing myself to like experience. So love is everything for me, and it's really about that. I'm a really lovely person. I really love my friends and my family, and my, like, obviously I love my audience more than like anything else. I would seriously do anything for the people that keeps me doing that thing, because I've never imagined in my life to get to this point, right? I will dream about it, but never actually think that I can make it. I mean, I knew that I can, but it always felt so far, because, you know, the visa I had to do, and like I was a minor, and I had to do this and this and this, and like it will take so long. But then I made it, and you know, it's nothing about me, just about my audience and the people that made it happen. So I it's all love for them.
Yeah, I love this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.